Welcome to the Serve Method Weekly Live Show. My name is Eva Palekova. I am your host. I am also a single mother to a 16-month-old and a multi-seven-figure entrepreneur and coach. And I come here every single week to help you make some shifts in your business. And today, in today's show, we're going to talk about 5 launch strategies to consider and 3 to ditch. So welcome as you join in. Let me know where you're joining from. Always love to see your beautiful faces. Let me know, say hi. You also, I think like StreamYard gives you, like you have to click some link to give StreamYard permission. Otherwise, I just see Facebook user. So welcome. Also grab a pen and paper because you're going to be taking some notes, getting some ideas. Hello, Jill, Shanila, another Facebook user that I still don't see name. Good to see some familiar faces back. So, all right, let's talk about launch strategies. New York, welcome. I am in Costa Rica. I want to show you guys. I don't want you to see the mess on my desk, but this is like where I live. This is where I get to teach from. So I sit outside all day long, and sometimes it starts raining, and so it gets a little noisy in here, but it has been so wonderful. And actually where I live, it's 70 degrees all year round. It is so good. It is so good. So I'm really and have been enjoying my outdoor office out here. All right, so everybody to Kansas City, Missouri, amazing. Iliko. Aha. All right, so good to see you guys too. All right, so pen and paper, let's grab some notes. So 5 launch strategies. I was thinking through this, and it all comes back to the SERVE method and what we stand for. So the SERVE method, in order for a business strategy to work, it has to meet 2 criteria, as you guys know already, right? It has to meet 2 criteria. What are those, right? It has to serve their growth, and it has to serve your growth. If the business strategy in question is not doing that for either your prospects or for you, it's not going to work. It's not going to generate the revenue, the clients, the money, none of the happiness, the joy, and none of that, right? And it all goes back to why we're here and why we're on this planet Earth. And, we did not come here to accumulate money. We did not come here to build the perfect house. And those are nice things to have, we all love money. I do too. But that's not why we came here. We came here to transform and grow and to really squeeze every ounce of the human potential out of this lifetime, right? And our business is the perfect tool for spiritual transformation, right? As we know, it just really pulls the different triggers, and we have to work through them, or we don't, right? Or we take the next lesson. And the faster we work through them, the faster we grow. And the reason I have been able to grow my business, well, I shouldn't say I, because it's we have now amazing team, right? Well, at the beginning it was just me and Jay working part-time. Why we have been able to grow our business so quickly is because I did follow the spiritual principle to the T. And I really pushed myself to work through whatever is uncomfortable. And what most entrepreneurs do, and tell me the truth, right, is they get busy. They get busy with the 99 things that are not going to make any difference, right? They work on a content and the Canva banners and set up the emails and do the email sequence and then record this and record that and go help on all the free challenges and workshops and retreats and do all the things. And they keep themselves busy and feels really good. However, none of those 99 things is going to get you there. It's going to be the thing, the only thing that is actually the thing that you're avoiding the most that is actually going to get you there. So when I think of the launch strategies that are actually effective, it's probably the ones that you're avoiding a little bit. And some of you are not avoiding them, but there's something in how you're delivering them that is not yet fully self-expressed to you, the most authentic, the most amazing, the biggest version of you. When you match that, when your courage comes through, the courage is sexy, right? That's what people are attracted to. You're being a little bit uncomfortable, right? Especially for those of you who are business coaches. People get really attracted to that because they're like, I've had people join my program and say, Eva, you did not exactly show up perfectly. I will not tell you the instances of what they told me, but I said, but that gave me the confidence that I could do that too, right? Because I'm not perfect. You have all your ums and ahs and da 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 da, and I'm not a polished speaker. I don't know how to do all the things. I'm not perfectly comfortable on camera. I don't know how to do sales calls, and neither did I, right? But they said, okay, if you could do it, I feel like I could do it too, right? So some of that courage, some of that imperfection actually draws clients to you, right? They don't want a perfect person in front of them because they can't relate to that. So the launch strategies that work really meet those criteria, those two criteria. They deliver, they serve them and they serve you. They serve their growth, your prospects' growth, and they serve your own spiritual transformation, right? Your own growth, right? And then also, like, just tie it back to, what that means and why is your growth so important. A lot of you want to run multi 6 and 7 and multi 7 and whatever figure business. However, that takes personal growth, that takes spiritual growth, that takes building your capacity to handle the volume clients, to handle the staff, the amount of logistics and all that. And that takes your plate getting bigger, right? Your personal plate getting bigger. And that can only happen. That doesn't, by the way, mean stretching your time. That means your capacity for handling emotionally difficult situation and be a bigger leader in your company, that has to grow, right? So the strategies, the marketing and sales strategies that you're implementing have to help you to become that person. Otherwise, if that's not happening, how do you think you're going to handle the volume of clients? You just wouldn't. And therefore, the universe is not going to give you the volume of clients, right? So I hope that makes sense, right? You have to be constantly growing and pushing yourself, right? So the strategies that I want you to focus on, again, number one, serve you and your spiritual journey, right? Really, really push you into a little bit of uncomfortable, right? But and then also serve the other humans around you, because when you serve, you receive, right? So, the old way to look at marketing is, okay, I'm going to trick people into something. I am going to, write the perfect landing page, the perfect conversion funnel, put the button in the right place on the page, and write the perfect hook and the perfect positioning and the yada, 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 and record the perfect videos and so on and so forth. You can think about it that way. Or you can actually say, my marketing, my sales is going to fulfill on my purpose. I am going to show up. I'm going to serve. I am going to really set my intention for my conversion event to really, truly move people, to really, truly transform lives, to really, truly make a difference. And then I'm going to surrender the rest of the universe. I'm going to give up the attachment to the outcome. Therefore, we really, really like those strategies that I'm going to talk to you about. All right. So a quick rundown. 7-day retreat is the number one method. However, we break it down, right? Right now, we're breaking it down into 3 days of core content, 4 days of VIP experience, VIP bonuses only for people who applied to go into day 4, right? There's a reason for that, right? And that is that I really want to focus on everybody in day 1 to 3, but from days 4 onwards, I really only want to focus on the serious entrepreneurs who are really, really committed to take their business to the next level. Because quite honestly, in the entrepreneurial community, there is such thing as people who are going just to binge a retreat after retreat after retreat. They're really not serious. They're really more committed to hiding and consuming more content than actually, getting their business off the ground and doing the transformation. So I really just want to focus and communicate and, pour my energy into the people who are really, really, really serious, days 4 to 7. So that's why we're doing the split, right? But however, you can't do that. You don't have to. We have had tremendous success with 7-day retreats. That's what we teach in the next retreat, which starts in a week and a half from now. There's an onboarding call, by the way, tomorrow. I'll talk about it at the end, but you have to be on an onboarding call tomorrow. By the way, be there. Like, seriously, have you not done onboarding? Be there tomorrow. It's happening 2 p.m. Eastern. Anyway, so that's 7-day retreats. It's tremendous. It's wonderful. People get so much transformation. We have people come do these 6-7 times. I kid you not. Every time they get something new. Our clients keep coming to these retreats. They keep showing up because it's representing them to what they really want, their vision, their mission, like get back to the state of hope instead of the reactionary, oh my gosh, where's the next client going to come from, all that stuff, right? So it is just an incredible experience. And that has to be the point, right? When you're designing a 7-day retreat, stop focusing on, how am I going to trick somebody out of that to becoming a client, and really, really focus on designing in a way that is really, truly going to deliver the transformation, right? So that's the retreats. Let me grab my notes really quick. What are the other ones? Ooh, okay. Zoominars. Okay. So here's the thing. I stopped teaching Zoominars after a while, and then I realized, because quite honestly, at our price point, they were not working so well. Because when our price point crossed $10,000 for our annual program, they stopped working too well as a conversion event, because people needed a little bit more, the ideal audience that we had at the time needed a little bit more of a decision time. So like a 90-minute Zoominar didn't really work so well. However, it works magically if your price point is somewhere around $3,000 to $7,000. So what is a Zoominar? Zoom webinar, but it's not pre-recorded. You actually have to get people to it. It's absolutely magical. This is quite honestly how I grew my business. This was my beginnings. I would deliver a workshop, do a call to action at the end, not necessarily always on my platform. It was, I would do them not necessarily online either, but I would do a meetup and teach for, 60 to 80 minutes and do call to action and bring people in a consult, right? I would go do it in other people's platforms, right? I would do a Zoominar for the International Coaching Federation. I did a bunch of them. I did 1 or 2 every single month, for about 2 years. I did them going into different organizations, right? Into different female entrepreneur organizations. I would deliver a workshop, usually around an hour, sometimes 20 to 30 minutes, and I would do a call to action. It worked really well at the price point where I was at the time, right? Because my price point then, I don't know, it was $6,000 to $7,000, something like that. And I would deliver a presentation. It was very simple. I would invite people into booking a strategy session/consult with me. And then they would sign up for that, and I would send them invite on the calendar, and I would have a consult with them, and they would sign up to work with me. It was really good. It's a really, really great strategy to use in between your retreats. If you're doing 4 retreats a year, say 6 retreats a year, whatever you have, it's a really, really great strategy. It works even better if you go on other people's platforms, not on your platform, right? And the reason for that is, if I just did that in the Facebook groups, people are like, well, I'll come back for the next piece of content. I don't really have an incentive to like sign up to work with you now, whatever you have. It's very, very, very effective when you go into audience and people know that this is the one and only time they're going to see you, and they either sign up for a consult with you or they don't. And if they don't, they have lost you, right? So it worked really, really well, really, really, really well, right? So a little bit I want to give you like the structure in like a 2-minute nutshell for that, right? You always start with a story, right? And I broke that really, did not start with a story today, but you guys were going to hear a lot of my stories during the retreat. I'm going to share with you my single mother journey from zero to multi-million-dollar business. You'll hear a lot of that, but you want to start your Zoominar with a story, right? And people are like, well, what stories? I don't have stories. I don't have that much drama in my life. And it's literally like when you, like, we all do, and that's what people relate to. It has to be, there's a little bit of a craft to it, but one rule is it has to be something. You have to open with a story that has you still touched, right? Because when I share stories that I'm not connected to, that no longer resonate, then, if I am not crying on the inside as well, it doesn't connect. The audience doesn't connect to it, right? So you have to really pick something that is at least sometimes a little bit difficult to share. There's a little bit of vulnerability, but that's how you really shift your audience perspective, right? So really hard to do sometimes. Really, really hard to do, but really, really, really necessary. Then in your Zoominar, you're going to deliver 3 to 5 steps to something. I really, really like that. I used to teach that all the time. It's like a 5-step roadmap blueprint to blah, right? People like that. People really love their steps, or 4 ways to blah. People really like numbers. It's old, tried and true, and whatever. It really still works, right? So go with that. Weave in more stories, give them some takeaways, and then at the end, you're going to include a call to action. And the call to action is going to be to schedule a strategy session with you, right? You gotta kind of account for where people are in the audience, where you're at, right? If you tell them, hey, let's schedule a sales consult where we discuss working together, some audience are going to be ready for that. Some audience won't, because they're like, people are busy. Why should I waste 40 minutes of my day or 30 minutes of my day talking to somebody I don't even know if I want to work with them, right? So you can offer, that's when you want to be strategic about it. You can offer a 20-minute blueprint strategy session. I used to do these so effective, right? So what I would do is, do a little bit of digging, map out a roadmap for the person, right? Here's how you're going to get from 0 to your 100K business. You're going to map out the next 4 or 5 steps for you. Here's why they make sense. People are like, holy cow, how do I work with you? Here's how, close a client, right? So that's kind of how you do it, right? That's very, very old school. You don't have to have a lot of people in your Zoominar, right? You don't have to have a ton of people listening. Really just need to gather 10 people together, 15 people, 20 is really like my sweet spot always. And then, your intention is to pull 20 to 30% of them into consult, okay? So that's what you're doing with that. It's really, really fabulous. If you want to get clients really quickly, do that. It's really, really easy. It's really, really effective. Nobody should have any reasons at all to go get clients like tomorrow, right? People are like, how do I get clients? Well, put together a Zoominar, put some key topics together, go invite, 30 people into it, 15 are going to come. That's going to take you like 2 hours to do. Go get it done. Deliver an amazing presentation, ask them into a consult with you, deliver some consults, give them like an amazing roadmap blueprint and close some clients, right? You can be doing this all the time, right? You can literally and this is if you're, and it's not just a business owner. If you're listening to this and you are a salesperson on a team of another business owners, you can do that. You can go deliver Zoominar presentations on ABC to blah, right? On how to close sales in whatever business, and you can pull people in a consult, and you can do it that way, right? So very, very, very easy, okay? 2.5 day retreat is another one of my format that I really love to use. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I'll tell you when they work and when they don't, right? Your price point and a decision-making timeline has to match in order for that to work. Here's the times that's really, really work for us when we're launching into our tier 2 program, which is $2,500 a month. Okay. So right now, anyway, right? So the decision makers, the people, this is for people who are going from 6 to 7 figures, or from multi-6 to multi-7 figures. They're very quick in their decisions. They don't want to sit through 7 days of content. They don't do that kind of thing anymore, right? Typically, those are people who really okay, give it to me quickly. I just want to see the A to Z, what's going to happen, what is the results I'm going to get. I don't have time. I don't have 7 days to watch something, right? They're probably also going to watch the replay more than anything. They binge, done and done. I have some questions, yada, yada, bam, right? And it's very, very, and we have had an amazing conversion rate on those. And that's because the decision making process at that level is a little bit different, right? They're very busy. They're very, very busy. And their problem isn't an income problem. The problems is oh my gosh, I'm the only person doing sales. I'm the only person, I don't know, my systems, my billing, it's all out of whack. And I'd like to scale. I'm so tired of the one-to-ones. I want to scale with a coaching program, but they have income coming in, right? So it's an entirely different decision process versus for our beginner to 6-figure entrepreneurs. They still have cash flow problems. They still need to really, really, they need to think through it. They need to sit with it. It's a much bigger decision to make into our tier one. And so we want to give them the time to actually decide, right? So 7-figure retreats work, 7-day, so not 7-figure, 7-day retreats, you know, whether it's all in one or 3 days and 4 bonuses or whatever, right? Work much better for those. I hope that makes sense because they can actually sit with it. They're not, you know, when you make it past 6 or multi-6 figures, you become much faster at making those decisions, the investment decisions, because you're used to it. You're probably investing, you know, a minimum of 50K a year at that point, right? That's like the average at 7 figures. Almost everybody's investing 100K a year or more in business coaching or other coaching or whatever training, right? So at that point, you know, it becomes much easier decision versus when you're just starting out. You're like, oh my gosh, 3,000 feels like a lot, you know, let alone like 15, 20,000. It's like, okay, I really need to think through that. Okay. So makes sense, hopefully, to everybody. Is this making sense? Can I get some thumbs up or ones in the chat, right? So you really need to account for where your people are in the decision making. Are they somebody who's investing regularly into coaching, therapy, whatever you do, right? At what level are they at? You know, is this something they're used to? Okay. Can I get some ones in the chat? Are you guys getting this so far? Is this making sense? Okay, good. Awesome. All right. Okay, so Zoominar, 2.5-day retreats, 7-day retreats, 3-day retreats with 4 bonuses, guest workshops, right? Guest podcasts. I have been doing quite a few of those. I just had one earlier this morning, earlier this week. I had another one too. I like to do 2 podcast guestings now, twice a week. Now, I do not pull people out of a podcast guesting into consult to close them because they're not ready yet. Okay, a podcast. You know, unfortunately, the ones I've been recording have been like close to an hour, and I have not really, you know, it was like, okay, I gotta keep them shorter. They should really be 20 minutes or less, right? Because the audience is not quite ready to spend an hour with you. They're just getting introduced to you, right? So they're just, you know, really getting introduced to you, and you want to give them like some brilliance, your core teaching. You're gonna give them your core story, your core 2 or 3 steps on achieving results, and, you know, mention some clients and whatever. And then you're going to either mention your own podcast, right? Or mention your retreat, like pick a call to action, right? That is going to, you know, really work for you and your funnel, and do it that way. This, I want to say, is a long-term strategy. It's not going to get you clients tomorrow, but it is something that you want to do. Here's why. I was just at a conference with one of my masterminds 2 weeks ago, and we were going over the state of marketing in 2021 and 2022. And what's happening, guys, that there is a lot of privacy acts around the world that are being implemented at the beginning of 2022. What do those privacy acts mean is that we're not going to be able to use cookies. You might not know what a cookie is for, and neither do I, nor do I really care. But what do I care about is that paid advertising is going to be much less effective because people cannot be tracked. Okay, lookalike audiences aren't going to work. People are not going to be tracked. Some of us have already seen the downfall of it. Running Facebook ads is much harder than it was 2 months ago with the iOS updates and whatever. And those changes will continue, which means you want to start now. You want to start booking yourself on podcasts and have people be linking to you, sending traffic to you. And once that podcast is recorded, it stays there, right? That podcast episode on another person's podcast stays there. It's going to continue staying there for years to come. Right? So it's an investment strategy, right? We always talk about like the investing mindset. You can't just think like immediate gratification, what's going to happen tomorrow, but you need to think long term and building a brand, right? Some of my early podcast guesting, quite frankly, I wish they weren't there anymore, but they are, right? Because I was not the best presenter and I'm still evolving. I'm sure I'm going to wish the same 6 months from now because my story will change, all of that stuff, right? But regardless, like that's a really good investment, right? You know, it's also like, I will tell you, I've gotten clients, you know, the ROI on being on podcast is I get one client into our tier 2, which is $2,500 a month, and it pays for like all of my podcasting effort, right? So, and all the scheduling and whatever the fees with it for the year, right? So it can be an incredible profitable business. It can also be an excuse to really get to know interesting people and to really have a chat. I honestly like much more enjoy like being on these podcasts and having a one-to-one conversation with a podcast guest, and I can like see them light up and like, ooh, taking some notes, and it's really fun, making a difference with that person. Then, I'll be honest, Facebook Lives, it's like I'm talking at people and it's like, okay, I get some feedback in a chat. Sometimes Facebook doesn't show it to people, sometimes it does. Nima says cookies, yummy. Yeah, no cookies for you next year. So it's just really fun for me to do and to connect with other business owners and kind of like hear their story too. So super fun. Really quickly, so those are some ideas and strategies that are working and they're going to continue working. And the reason they're working is because they really push you out of your comfort zone. They really make you show up in the best version of you. They make you show up for other people and deliver, right? Whether it's a shorter format, a longer format, I tell people go with the 7-day retreat because the transformation, don't worry about over preparing all that, but the transformation for you, having to show up 7 days straight and having to sell on camera, for some people at the beginning it's traumatizing, but they can become a completely different human being when they have done that, and they get excited to share about their program. First they're terrified out of their minds and they're practicing the program, all that stuff, right? But the growth is incredible, right? So the things that don't work, okay, stay away from Facebook challenges. I'll tell you why. I am literally, like, I will tell you, I can't really say this out loud because we are, I think that the bots can hear stuff, but I will tell you, I am simulcasting this right now to about 5 different groups that have a combined about 8,000 to 10,000 people. You know how many people this is being showed to? 14. Okay? 14. So, Facebook challenges, Facebook groups, all the fun stuff. It was really fun and great about 18 months ago, maybe still a year ago, a little bit still 6 months ago. And then kind of the same thing that happened to Facebook pages started happening to Facebook groups, right? Facebook stopped showing stuff to people, right? Because people are in so many different groups, or I don't know, or they just decided on a different strategy, or they're wanting to people pay for that eventually. I don't know, but we are moving away more and more from that, and we do all of our important stuff we do on Zoom. We do our onboarding sessions on Zoom where we share the important stuff. We do the all my core content is on my podcast. It's called The Serve Method. If you guys want to look it up. All the important stuff is on our podcast and on the Zoom sessions. Okay, Facebook is like nice to have. Instagram, I'm sure the same thing is going to happen there, right? Like we put some out there too. We have registered a lot of people on Instagram into our retreats. We still go to Facebook groups. Some of them are pretty active still, but that's where this is going, right? Not with every group, but the vast majority are kind of dead, right? Because Facebook just isn't showing it to people. And give me a 1 in the chat if you've seen that in your own group, right? Like you're posting stuff, you're showing up, but like, you do your live show and you have like 1 people watching this, right? And that's like what we have seen that changed the shift over the past year, literally everywhere. And it can be really disheartening to people. Like, nobody cares about my business. No, they actually do, but they just cannot see it, quite frankly. Okay. So that's, and it was a great strategy because it followed the SURF principles, but, the technology right now isn't working. So Zoom it is right now. I don't know what's going to be next, but that's where it is, automated webinars, all the evergreening stuff. Here's the thing. It sounds really attractive. Evergreening the stuff if you want to evergreen you, meaning if you want to continue being the same person a year from today that you are today. Okay. if you do want to be who you are today and you don't plan on growing, you don't plan on changing, then by all means, record a bunch of stuff and evergreen it. For the vast majority of you, you put a lot of effort into recording something evergreen. By the time, and you're going to teach it, you're going to deliver it for a couple months, and you're like, oh my God, I'm growing so much. I really don't want to teach this anymore, or not in the same way. I'm evolving, right? And so I see this time after time after time. I've seen this for myself, like, oh my gosh, the process of writing my book, by the time I'm done with it, it's so outdated. I'm not the same person. I'm growing, I'm transforming. It's like, write it again. And I write books really fast, right? It doesn't take me years, it takes me weeks, but still, right? So be very, very careful with evergreening if you're in a spiritual growth phases, if you're healing, if you're working on yourself, because what really attracts people to you is when you're really teaching stuff that is so in alignment with who you are in that moment, right? And oftentimes you'll go through something, you'll transform it. Next week, you're going to teach it, right? Because that's the new realization, because your clients and your core group of people and your core group of prospects are literally like sometimes 2 steps behind you. There's no coincidences, right? God will give you one thing to deal with, and they'll send you a bunch of things, a bunch of people right behind you to help them too, right? Something like that. So be really, really careful with evergreening. Okay, it sounds really attractive as as something to give to people, but yeah. Are you guys seeing this? I hope this is making a difference for you guys, right? I love evergreen stuff, but so much work. It's much more work than actually doing it live for me anyway. So that's some of the, oh my gosh, we're like 7 minutes over time. Okay, so really, really quickly, because I have to jump in a minute. Onboarding for the Serve Method Retreat is happening tomorrow, okay? Hopefully everybody's watching this is registered. If you guys have been through a bunch of these, I don't care. Come to this one. Come to this one. I have evolved. The retreat has evolved. It's going to be much more mindset driven. We're going to be doing a lot of unblocking as we're building the strategies. The first 3 days are for everybody that are going to be really focused on building your own retreat, your thought process, the influence that you really, the legacy you really want to build with them, and the structure of it, and how you're going to build your life around it and really scale your business. The days 4 to 7 are going to be VIP days, application based, and you get to decide whether you want to continue with us or not. Right? And we're going to be sharing some VIP content. We're going to have more time with people, some different tracks based on where you are in your revenue, whatever you have. Q&As, maybe mini hot seats. We'll see how it goes. I'm really, really, really excited about this one. Onboarding is happening tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern. I will tell you why I did the onboarding. The retreat is happening a week and a half from today. And the people who have gotten the best results out of the retreat, the people who go out there and implement and launch with their own retreats and launch in their programs, they are very clear about what their method, their formula, their process is that they're going to teach in their retreat, and they're very passionate about it. They're like, this is what I'm going to deliver to the world, right? This is the difference that I'm making in the world, right? And even if you already have one, use the onboarding to redraw, to redesign, because you have changed, right? I don't care what method you already have. You have changed. You have transformed. The Serve method is not the same thing that it was 6 months ago. It's not the same thing that it was 12 months ago, right? So that's why we're doing the onboarding ahead of time, because we want you to be using this time between now and July 19th on day 1 to really set your intention on and get your creative juices flowing about what the thing is that you want to change in the world. Like, what is the shift in consciousness that you want to make, and what is your coined process, model, formula, whatever you have, that is going to help people do that. Because guess what? You're going to be teaching your retreat or maybe a piece of it, right? And then you're going to be doing it with clients. You're going to be teaching that in your signature program, right? So we want your creative juices flowing, right? We want to give you that space tomorrow to do a little bit of daydreaming. We might do, last week we did onboarding with one group. We did a little bit of guided meditations. I don't know what we're going to have time for tomorrow because every group is different. But I'm going to walk you through the serve methodology, the core pillars, and blah, blah, blah. And then we're going to get into getting your formula together. So I'm super, super excited about that. Be there. If you don't know how to get there, comment, I don't know how to get to onboarding. I'm sure somebody on our team is going to be able to help you. Ildiko and Masha are on standby. They are your implementation advisors for this retreat, right? So you probably have a message from one of them. If you don't, check your message request inbox, and they can, if for whatever reason, if you're like New Zealand, you can't make the time, I totally get it. We will get you hooked up one way or another, and we'll get you squared away. And you know, and they'll take a good care of you. All right. So they will give you the worksheets and all that, and handouts and whatever you need. So I cannot wait to see you there tomorrow if you're joining us. Everybody else, thank you so much for being here. If there's anybody who's like, oh, I want to work with you, I don't know how, let us know. Let your advisor know. Let Ildiko and Masha know. If you don't have an advisor, reach out to me and let me know, hey, how do I work with you? And I'm going to get you set up with somebody on my team to get you on a business meeting to go over our programs, if that's what you're interested in. Otherwise, I will see you on the onboarding session. Thank you so much, everybody.